Where have you been?
I went to fill my truck up. But you're not gonna believe what it cost me.
An arm Gotta love the humor. Gotta love the puns! Respect. Whoa, that was some Spider-Man thing. How did he know that was happening? And why did that happen? And how did he have the strength to pull her off like that? Bear, do you know? Bear just came in to say hi. Look at this face. And he farted. Thanks, Bear. Squeezing inflamed tonsils to alleviate pain. What? When things are swollen, they're swollen because your body's inflammatory cells are creating an inflammatory cascade, a process that is actively fighting off an infection. The body's creating the swelling in order to create the optimal environment to fight off said infection. But the issue is not the swelling, it's the infection, right? Okay, oh, great catch. Pulling a baby's arm like that can create a condition known as nursemaid's elbow, where you actually create a dislocation. You could see that the baby stops using the arm, and that's one of the telltale signs. Ooh. Oh, did he just kick him in the balls? Oh, with the exception of the ball kick. Should I say testicle kick? I don't even know what the medical terminology here. Testicular trauma. The stuff on the arms, on the lats or the ribs and the traps, that's not gonna leave any lasting damage in most situations because you're really causing superficial ecchymosis, which is like superficial bruising. And that will toughen you up because you have to be able to distract yourself from the pain. But I don't see a lot of harm coming from that.
You're an OBGYN. Are you allowed to say any weird stories, any weird thing that's happened to you?
I'm gonna assume or guess that the OBGYN is gonna say something that was inserted into the human body. Was it the Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle to make it smell like a vagina? I never thought I would say these words in my life. And somehow this person, Gwyneth Paltrow, is making me say these words. And somehow that's making me feel worse, even though I'm fact checking them. When you're allergic to peanut butter and your EpiPen expires tomorrow. No, don't do that. And look, if you have like a recently expired Tylenol or Advil and you're taking that, they don't become like toxic after the expiration date. They just become less effective. So if your Tylenol for your headache isn't as effective, it's not the end of the world. But if your EpiPen is not effective, that's a huge life or death issue that you need solved. That's why when the EpiPen expires, you get a new one right away. Same goes for insulin.
I wake up in the morning, I have 32 ounces of room temperature water, 1 lemon squeezed in, that like flushes everything out.
Water flushes everything out. The lemon could be a tasty addition. Maybe you get a little bit of nutrients, but flushing everything out is really the kidney's job.
I have 32 ounces of cold pressed celery juice. It is really alkalizing for your system.
Well, it's great that you're alkalizing given the fact that you just had lemon juice, which was acidifying. Your body couldn't do that on its own. It absolutely does it on its own. In fact, it does it so well that if your body drops out of this very specific pH of 7.35 to 7.45, you go into debt. And also remember, in your stomach, you have a pH of 2, very acidic. So no matter how much celery juice you're drinking, still gonna be more acid in that bad boy.
I have this medical medium smoothie, heavy metal detox smoothie.
Next time you hear someone say they're drinking a detox smoothie, just replace the word detox with miracle potion, because that's what detox means. That's the new definition. What, sir? We're changing the definition. When you look up the word detox, it has to say miracle potion.
What happens to you if you eat nuts?
I have I go into anaphylactic shock.
So you have you ever accidentally been served nuts?
That just happened on this movie I did.
How is that happening on a movie set where they're aware of people's allergies?
They were bringing around little chocolate things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have a little one. And I ate it, and it was full of peanut butter, and it was my own.
And what happened?
I went anaphylactic. I was rushed to the emergency room.
So in anaphylactic shock, what happens is your throat actually starts closing, and if it closes completely, you die. You also have a drop in blood pressure. That's why it's called shock. And this blood pressure drop can be fatal on its own. That is why we say Benadryl, which is an antihistamine, does not really treat anaphylactic shock, because you're not just treating the allergic component, the histamine component, you're also treating the low blood pressure component. That is why you use epinephrine auto-injectors into the lateral medial thigh.
I started doing TM because I was listening to your show, and I started doing TM, and I go, I can control this.
Okay, they're laughing, but to some degree, a healthy mental state can mitigate the effects of pain, swelling, perception, stress. So in some ways, he's right, but when it's that big of an anaphylactic shock, no. In a situation like that, you almost want to be nervous and have an adrenaline rush, because essentially you're giving yourself the benefit of the medication. So if you actually keep yourself calm and don't release adrenaline in a situation like anaphylactic shock, that's working backwards.
Hey,
Oh, it's an outie. So this is an umbilical hernia. Essentially, you have a weakness in the abdominal wall in this area. And actually, there's a condition where post-pregnancy, women will have a separation of their abdominal wall musculature. This is a diagram and an explanation.
How to know if you have a leaky gut.
There's no such thing.
1. Chronic fatigue.
I have chronic fatigue.
Frequent headaches and brain fog.
I have frequent headaches and brain fog.
Armor colostrum is a pure
Oh, come on, man.
strengthens your gut barrier,
No,
replenishes your microbiome, combats bloating, constipation, and IBS.
I thought they're not allowed to make claims. FDA. There's just so much misinformation in one TikTok.
Repairs your entire gut wall architecture.
It's like they send in little minions and they go on the wall. Bear, come here. Calm me down. I need emotional support. This is what he's trained to do. See, I'm having a panic attack and he's helping me. Thank you. Okay.
For all ages and lifestyles.
All ages, all conditions, all lifestyles. It works for everything. Side effects? None. Remember, if something doesn't have side effects, that means it doesn't have effects, period.
I just add 4 drops of oil of oregano into water in the morning. And a lot of people in the health and wellness profession literally refer to it as a natural antibiotic.
You know what happens when natural products have proof behind them? They just become medicine. Aspirin came from nature. Now we produce it. It's a real medication. Whatever's in her little cute mason jar ain't a natural antibiotic.
It really helps kill any bacteria and germs.
These people are hilarious, like these pseudo health experts. Here's what is the most funny thing is they say take this natural antibiotic that kills all bacteria, it's so good. But also take this probiotic, which is bacteria, because it's so good. Like, you can't have both. When we give antibiotics, it's for a reason. It's because we see a bacteria that's causing an infection. We test for it, we swab for it, we culture it, and we see that it's infecting you, causing symptoms. Then we treat it because then the risks are outweighed by the benefits.
I wondered what this beautiful plant was that was just everywhere on the land that I bought.
Is it poison ivy?
Turns out it was a poison oak
no.
plant, and it affected my body
Ouch.
tremendously.
Well, it's usually a lot of these poison oaks, poison ivies. They're a type 4 delayed hypersensitivity reaction, a type of immune reaction that takes some time to develop. In situations like this, when it starts impacting the face, many doctors will start increasing the potency of treatment to an oral steroid medication like prednisone.
I went to the emergency room because my eye was completely closed shut at that point. They had no idea what to do with me.
Well, I know exactly what to do. I would give you an oral steroid.
There was no reason for me to be at the hospital. You know what you do if someone has poison oak in their eye? You probably give them an antibiotic, an eye drop, who knows? Send them home.
Well, no. I mean, you don't even need an antibiotic in many of the instances unless you've scratched it and created an infection. What you do need is something to calm the immune response, which is what was responsible for the swelling, like prednisone or methylprednisone.
But they didn't do that because they want to ruin my life.
Well, no. Anytime that the visual system starts getting impacted by these things, you don't know how it's going to play out. So keeping you for observation for a day or two is not unreasonable. I defend the system there, even though the system itself sucks.
What can you eat to help you make you feel better? Bananas.
Okay.
Why bananas? Monkeys never craps.
I don't know if monkeys never cramp.
Monkey never crap.
Is that true?
Because a monkey every day bananas.
Bananas have potassium, which is an important electrolyte. But actually, if you're sweating a lot, the main electrolyte you're losing in that sweat is sodium. It's actually why there's a big critique surrounding Prime is that it doesn't have as much sodium, which makes it taste better. So if you're like a gamer just sitting at home, it tastes better. But if you're a true athlete, you need some sodium replacement. Patient stated Tylenol. He's nuts. Patient educated on the importance of taking Tylenol to decrease the fever. Patient stated the only thing that's hot is your breath. Yeah, some of the documentation is funny. I've actually seen some really funny things about patients doing some weird things in bed when either the nurses or the residents come to check on them in the middle of the night or early in the morning. And by the way, treating a fever, if it's incredibly high and dangerous, maybe. If they're weak cardiovascular standpoint and they're really on the brink of death, they're in the ICU, maybe. But the average healthy person who has a mild fever fighting off an infection, lowering the fever prolongs symptoms in many of the cases.
This is not English.
This is in English. 77-year-old male complaining of shortness of breath after having PCI, a percutaneous intervention, usually stent placement, heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and coronary artery disease.
77-year-old male came over, son of a bitch, salt and pepper, penis clean-ish, performed Macarena. His heart froze. Really excited for this to determine my heart tickler's necessity. Could have already died.
When you are in your 5th energy drink and the radio starts to sound yeah, you gotta be careful with these energy drinks. Some of them have like 200 milligrams of caffeine. The recommended maximum amount is 400. And I know some Starbucks products that have more than that, just in one product.
You, that's a 111. And you, that's a ND. Blue, no blue.
Oh my God! We need this child on my channel! Okay, not good chest compressions, he's fired. The first thing he did was point at someone and say, you call for help. Because if you just yell call for help, no one ends up calling for help. He also assigned a role and said, you get the AED. Because you say, someone get the AED, no one gets the AED. That's a defibrillator, you wanna put that on the chest. And then checked for pulse, found there were pulseless, unconscious, started chest compressions. These aren't 2 inches deep, they're not 100 beats per minute, but I gotta give this guy props.
The big pharma companies who basically sell billions, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of medication to people.
Okay.
If the medication
I like where this is
actually worked, then they wouldn't have any more clients.
That's not true because more people are born and will have conditions and will need cures. What I will say negative about pharma, and I can't verify this is almost a personal belief of mine. I think pharma spends a lot of money targeting individuals that have lifelong illnesses that they can give a medication to that will control their symptoms but not cure it. They will not spend money seeking a cure. Because if you could target an illness that a patient will need to take medication for the rest of their life, that is the biggest return on investment.
This type of corruption happens with $100 billion organizations because, like I said, it's hundreds of billions of dollars. Greediness never stops, man. You know, these people always want more and more and more.
This is a human trait that he's talking about. On the surface, he's not wrong. Just in the details, there's some inaccuracies.
Have you ever seen a pair of headphones?
Oh, yes.
That also doubles as
a personal hygiene device, and they specifically say not a medical device.
A high-efficiency filtration system that allows you to tackle pollution on the go. These definitely feel like a product of the future.
They're a product of the future that should stay in the future and not make its way into the present. Based on my humble opinion, as I shared on the MKBHD channel, I'll give you a rundown of what's wrong with this product. Number one, the particles that it is filtering, it's not to the HEPA filtration standard because the HEPA filtration standard is 0.3 microns, have to be filtered 99.95%. And the way this thing works is it actually blows air directly into your nose and mouth, so it doesn't have even a full seal. When we wear like an N95 mask in the hospital, we actually get fit testing to make sure that there's a perfect seal. They put like a giant hood around us, spray scents, see if we can smell them or not. But then also this air constantly blowing on your mucous membranes, your lips and your nose will ultimately dry them out. And remember, we have cilia in our respiratory tracts, which are those hair-like projections that beat at like 1,000 beats per minute. And they filter those particles to the size of like 0.5 microns, and they get stuck in the mucus. We cough them out, we sneeze them out, we swallow them. And then if some dust or germ gets into your lungs, we have something known as alveolar macrophages, which is a type of white blood cell that actually consumes that dust particle and then gets eliminated through the body. So there's a lot that your body does already to filter these things. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. I went on the CDC website and checked top 10 causes of death. Okay, chronic respiratory illnesses up there in the top 10 causes of death in urban environments. You know what's higher than that? Unintentional injury. And you know what raises risks of accidents? Wearing noise-canceling headphones in urban environments. Like, who is this product for? If you truly have allergies, you truly want to protect yourself from viruses, throw on a properly fit N95 mask. And I know everyone's gonna point and say, okay, a COVID virus particle is 0.1 microns. And the N95 mask is called N95 because it stops 95% of 0.3 micron sized particles. That means 0.1 should be able to get through. The reality is anything smaller than 0.3 or larger than 0.3 actually gets stopped by the N95 mask more efficiently. The larger ones make sense why, but the smaller ones get trapped more readily because of something known as Brownian motion. This is when really small particles have such a random motion within our gaseous environment here on Earth that they end up getting trapped more readily in the filter of this mask. And I actually love Dyson products. I have filters in my house because you know why they're on? Because I spend 8 hours in my bedroom every night, several hours in my living room. So I want those areas filtered. I want dust out. I want allergens out because it's a good place to do it. And it actually works. But in front of your face for 1 hour with limited protection and $1,000 price tag and 1.5 pounds on your head, that's just a pain in the neck.